Top Fuel Harley Davidson's need you to the lanes, please. Top Fuel Harley needing you to the staging lanes, please. Top Fuel Harley Davidson. Come one, come all. Need you to the lanes, please. Top Fuel Harley. Come on. All right, trying to lean it over into our long, skinny cars now. The top alcohol dragster ranks. The #1 qualifying effort last night, Jared Drera, fine, 5:31. Our top speed last night, 274 miles an hour by Jeff Veal's machine. The bump, a 5:52. You see on the scoreboard down there for Josh Hart. 19 cars answering the call last night. We will qualify the quick 8. It means 11 up are going home early. Lane choice on the Ohio Turnpike on Sunday morning is not what they're looking for. Josh Hart, problems last night. Difficulty getting the Florida-based machine down the racetrack. Injected nitromethane, the cool air. Great track. Getting ready to come at us. Let's see what we can do. Hart, right side. .721, 258 miles an hour on a lap that was anything but textbook. Up in smoke at the hit. You could hear the engine loading up with nitromethane. He caught the tires, got it to slow back down, got back into it, and the car laboring down the racetrack until it finally cleared out a little bit. 258 miles an hour, good speed on the top end, but that 721 certainly a long ways away from where they wanted to be. And when you launch off the starting line and go up in smoke as Josh Hart did, well, let's just say there's not a lot of hope left for that run to get you down the racetrack. Again, would like to remind our Super Street competitors, your day is done. We will see you at 8:30 tomorrow morning for round number 1, stock and super stock. Likewise, your day is done. You will stock, you will follow Super Street. Super stock will follow stock. We will get started. First cars down track at 8:30 tomorrow morning. Super Street, stock, and super stock. Super Gas and Super Comp, your first rounds of competition, still on schedule for this afternoon. Now, the plot thickens because here comes Mia Tedesco and Eric Vollmer. You can hear the engine already coming to life, firing it up on gasoline before they flip it over to nitromethane and take the gas tank off and let the nitromethane flow. Mia, our reigning division champ, number 4 in the world last year. Much like Indy, where our schedules for qualifying were a little abbreviated, Mia came up on the first session Friday, did not make the show. Up in smoke just as she did last night. Came back for the second and final qualifying session. And went from being not even on the qualifying sheet in a 1 to 8 position to taking over the number 1 spot at Indianapolis. Down in the 520s, 526, 270 miles an hour. For qualifying. She came up a little short in the opening round against Gord Jingles, but at least she was there. Right now, Dave Arata and the gang, they know they want to get in on this session because with Mother Nature right now, there are no guarantees that the rest of the day and the evening will be good. Eric Vollmer, out of Illinois, the Brad Hadman chassis machine, the B&M Racing entry. Over here on the right-hand side, Eric also not in the show. Problems last night with the blown alcohol machine. 12-second lap, 65 miles an hour. And obviously, when your competition is running in the low fives, a 12-second lap isn't going to do you much good. So for Mia, the CarsProtectionPlus.com, Dave Arata tuned entry. She's on the left. Volmer over here on the right. The B&M Racing machine. They're in. RPM's up for Volmer. Mia creeps in. Ooh, much better shot. Pedals it once. Gets the car straightened out, heading towards the other end. 560. 272 miles an hour. 569 by Volmer at 252. For Mia and Eric, I have good news and I have bad news. You both improved dramatically. That's the good news. For Mia and Eric, the bad news is that you're not quick enough to be in the show, because right now it takes a 5:52 to play. And that's from Jerry Powell II. And I'm willing to bet money, although it might be Warren's money, but I'm willing to bet money that 5:52 bump does not last this session. We've got one more qualifying session scheduled for later on today. And right now, Mia and Dave and the rest of that crew, along with Eric Volmer, Magnuson, and the rest of that crew, are certainly hoping, praying, and planning on being around and getting in on that position. Fishburne's machine out of Indiana, the Fishburne trucking entry. Having some problems with it down here on the Budweiser side of the racetrack, and it looks like they're going to push it off. So it'll be a single for J.P. Gutierrez. Jean Paul over there on the left-hand side. Gorgeous MGM Grand Detroit machine. Absolutely pounded the ground last night, leaving the starting line. JP last night pounded the ground. The car going into violent tire shake. I mean, it rattled all the way up here in the announcing deck. You could feel it. They've got the power. The blown TFX combination over there on the left-hand side. Going to bring up the RPM. See if they've got it tamed down a little bit today. That's a whole lot more better. Here we go, 551, 261. Remember that 552 bump I told you probably wouldn't hold? Well, JP goes 551, 261 miles an hour to get himself down the racetrack. Still wasn't the best, but it gets him down the racetrack. The good news for JP and the Gutierrez team, the MGM Grand Detroit entry, you guys are in the show. The bad news is you're now the bump. 551.5 for Gutierrez. They'll come back, tune off of that lap, get ready to make the final qualifying run a little bit later on. Again, Top Fuel Harley needs you to the lanes, please. Top Fuel Harley Davidson needing you to the staging lanes, please. Jared Dreher, your number 1 qualifier. Dan Mercier, number 2. Jeff Veal 3, Ken Perry 4, Marty Thacker 5, Brandon Boer 6, Brandon Greco 7. JP moves up to the number 8 spot as we continue on. Here comes Don Nolan and Robin Amsel. Robin over on the right-hand side, not in the show. Number 15 qualifier. Don Nolan, not in the show. Number 17, the qualifying sheet. Remember I told you this is going to be an 8-car show? If you're 15 and 17, I don't care if you use new math, old math, or Common Core math. 15 or 17 is not going to fit into 8. Although the way they figure some of the calculations in that Common Core, you could probably get there. But it'd take you 17 weeks, 3 days, and 24 hours to get it figured out. So we'll just pass on that. So Don Nolan, coming up from Kentucky, surveyor by profession. ZoneRV.com and Renegade Oil Entry. Getting ready to bring that machine to life. Robin Samsel here on the right-hand side, the Budweiser lane. Hey, we heard Robin's car come to life, then it went silent. Trying to see through the tree down there, and I couldn't. They're parked right behind it. So Don Nolan has a problem. It'll be a single for Robin Samsel. Wowza. Interesting to see some of the problems coming up. Fishburne's car not able to fire. Don Nolan's machine not able to fire. Robin Samsel not in the show. Looking to get in. 8:42 lap last night. One of those laps that, well, just wasn't to be. Again, the injected nitro combination. Powering Robin Samsel's car. Finished 5th in the division last year. So you know you've got a good hot rod. But right now they're not in the show. They're a long way from getting in. JP Gutierrez sitting down at the top end, the MGM Grand machine. They know that that 551 lap was, well, a pretty good lap. They also know that that 551 lap probably not going to hold them. Krista Baldwin getting ready to come up. Mike Koski getting ready to come up. Ray Hack getting ready to come up. I'm telling you, there's still some cars there. There's still some numbers out there that can certainly stir this field around a little bit, and I'm not yet convinced that there's not a 520 laying on this racetrack. Here comes Robin, Marion, Indiana-based runner. Tool and die maker by profession, injected nitro. Combination getting ready to come out. Pedaling once and march towards the big end. 563, 266. Well, without the pedal, would have been a good run. But that 563 at 266 only going to move them up a couple of notches on the qualifying sheet and then going to get them into the 8-car show. JP, the MGM Grand Detroit entry, all sit down there at the other end and go, well, that's one. Don Nolan's hot rod, not able to fire. That's two. So we'll get Nolan taken care of and back to the pits. Talked about Mike Koski a moment ago. Here comes Mike and Jerry Powell. Jerry was in the show when the session started with that 552 from last night. Now he has been bumped out. The Medicine Man out of Atlanta, which we all know is in Indiana and not down in Georgia. And Mike Koski there on the left-hand side. 72 years young, wheeling and dealing a blown alcohol dragster. What are you going to be doing at 72? I hope I'm having as much fun as Mike Koski is. Koski not in the show. 5:55 lap last night out of his machine. He's close. Jerry Powell's close. Close counts in horseshoes and hand grenades. Doesn't count well in drag racing. You want to be in the show, ready to go when the field is set. And for Mike and for Jerry, a couple of shots today to make it into the 8-car round of elimination, or the 8-car elimination field come tomorrow. For our Super Street stock and Super Stock competitors, your day is done. Super Street, you'll lead us off at 8:30 tomorrow morning. Stock, you'll be right behind that first round of Super Street. Super Stock, you will follow round one of Stock Eliminator. Again, we will start up at 8:30 tomorrow morning with final eliminations. Super Gas, Super Comp, you are still on schedule for your first round of eliminations coming up a little bit later on today. Our Top Fuel Harleys, our Pro Fuel Harleys making their way to the lanes for their first qualifying runs down the racetrack here at Summit Racing Equipment Motorsports Park. All right, Koski's car coming to life. Jerry Powell, Dr. Jerry Powell, the medicine man. There's Koski. Taking it home at Mike Koski's mantle place multiple times. National event Wally. Sitting at home on Mike Koski's mantle place. Multiple time division championship Wally. Sitting at home, well, you get the idea. Multiple time divisional championship race-winning Wally. Koski's been at this for a number of years. The American Flyer machine over there on the left-hand side of the racetrack. Good running car out of Pennsylvania. Just had some issues last night. For Dr. Jerry Powell, like we said earlier, he was in the show. The alcohol dragster ranks, you can run injected nitromethane like the doctor here on the Budweiser side. You can run a blown alcohol combination like Mike Koski there in the Summit lane. Blown alcohol, the injected nitromethane, two completely different styles of automobiles. Oh, God. Mashing the gas, car leaping up in the air. Comes back down. Mike Koski hits the throttle. Car moves out of the groove over towards that left-hand wall. Koski and the doctor, the good doctor, will be down to their final rounds of qualifying coming up a little bit later. So Mike coasts across, 8:06. The doctor coasts across 25 seconds later at only 20 miles an hour. So we'll get the doctor taken care of. We'll get Mike Koski taken care of. We get the cars cleared off the top end of the racetrack. Get our next pair around the corner, fired up, ready to go. As soon as that end of the racetrack is clear, this end of the racetrack is going to get noisy. One more time. Top Fuel Harley, Pro Fuel Harley, we need all of you to the lanes, please, for your qualifying run. Top Fuel Harley and Pro Fuel Harley, Pro Stock Snowmobile, get them ready. Going to be calling you in just a moment. Getting the good doctor some assistance down at the other end of the racetrack and get him taken care of down on that end. Ray Hack and Brandon Greco getting ready to bring the cars to life. Ray out of Indiana there on the left side. Nice looking automobile. Dave Yarhara chassis machine, former Top Fuel car over there on the left-hand side. Not in the show. 5:52.9 their run last night. 251 miles an hour their speed last night. But when you look on the scoreboards and you see a 5:51 and you know you run a 5:52, you know that, well, that's not good enough. Brandon Greco went 5:48 last night. That is good enough, at least for now. Because I'm telling you, we could shuffle things around before all is said and done. Brandon Greco's blown alcohol car. Ray Hack with the injected nitromethane machine. Talked moments ago about the difference between the two. To oversimplify, but to give you an idea, the blown alcohol cars, leaving the starting line, you bring the RPMs up, press the gas down, let the clutch out, just like a street car. Too much gas, not enough clutch, you'll either stall it or burn through the clutch. The injected nitro machines, again in an oversimplified description, basically leave it idle like an automatic car driving away from the stoplight. As you drive away and go down the racetrack, centrifugal force of the clutch will lock down the fingers on the clutch and turn it into a 1-to-1 drive ratio from the engine going to the differential. Like I said, that's an oversimplification. There's a lot more going on than just that, but it kind of gives you an idea. Stick car versus an automatic. The injected car, the automatic. Low car, the stick. Out of the gate they go. 5:51 or better to get into the show. 5:59 by Ray. Misses it by that much. 5:41 by Brandon. He steps up and improves the 259 mile an hour speed. The 5:41.9. Moving him up a couple of notches on the qualifying sheet up to the number 5 position. So 2 nice back-to-back laps. The blown alcohol car of the runner out of Pennsylvania, Brandon Greco. 5:41.9 this time around at 259 miles an hour. Improvement for him. Improvement with that 5:59 lap for Ray Hack. But Ray still not in the show. Dan Mercier, Ken Perry. Here's your number 2 qualifier getting ready to come at us. Gentleman who finished top 10 on the eastern side of the country regional competition last year. W. Cote Incorporated machine. St. Michel, Quebec. Injected Brad Anderson combination. Ken Perry. Markham, Ontario, Canada. A pair of our north of the border competitors coming down to have a go at it here at Summit Racing Equipment Motorsports Park. Cars in the show. Jockeying now for position. Perry sits number 4. Mercier sitting number 2. Kid Perry and the Iceman team. Past champs at the biggest race of the year, the U.S. Nationals. Won it all there a couple of years back. They've been in the 520s. Mercier, been the past champion over on the eastern side. For Dan, the gang, injected nitro car. Looking to see if they can find the 520. 534 for Mercier last night. 539 for the Iceman, Ken Perry, in last evening's run. $539.3. They've got a bracket car. $539.7 last night at $265.33. $539.3 today at $265.05. I'm telling you, that's a bracket car. For Mercier and the gang, $13.35 at the hit. The car said, nope, I'm not going anywhere. Dan was basically at that point in time along for the ride. He'll stay number 2 based on last night's 534. But it certainly wasn't the run they were looking to get down the racetrack here today. At least not in this session. I'll bring it back a little bit later on for session number 2, the final qualifier. We'll see coming up later on this evening, early evening, before we get into the fireworks. Woohoo! Jared Dreher, Jeff Veal. Next pair coming at us, number 1 and number 3 qualifiers. There's Jeff Veal, Stony Creek, Ontario, Canada. He'll be running down the Budweiser side. The injected nitro cars, a pair. Get ready to come at us. Dreher over in the left lane, out of Indiana. Number 1 qualifier after last night's session at a 5:31. Pro Stock Snowmobile, we need you to the lanes, please. Pro Stock Snowmobile. Summit side staging. Snowmobiles, you need to be staging up on the summit side of the racetrack. Jared Dreher on the left side, he's in. Jeff Veal on the right side, he's in. Right now it's just adjusting for position. Another one of our Canadian racers here this weekend. See if they can shuffle the field around. Want to be number 1, you got to be down in that very low 530 range. Jared Dreher right now looking for the 520s. Car on the summit side. $550 at 257 is not the 520s at 260 miles an hour they were planning on. Somebody failed to get the memo on that run. 550, 257 by Jared. The good news is, well, you're still number 1, at least for now. 1155 by Jeff Veal. Another car coming off the line, just not happy with the conditions. Coasts across 11 seconds later at 73 miles an hour. Pro Stock Snowmobiles, we need you to the summit side staging lanes, please. Pro Stock Snowmobiles, we need you to the summit side staging lanes, please. All right, so Jared's been down track. Jeff Veal's been down track. Dan Mercier's been down track. The Iceman, Ken Perry's been down track. Marty Thacker and Brandon Boer. A couple of names I see that have not yet been down track. All right, semifinals from our race in Indianapolis. We started the competition back on Sunday, May the 1st. Here we are, Saturday, May the 21st, 20 days later. Going to crown our champions. Brandon Boer and Gord Jingles getting ready to come at us. Gord taking out the #1 qualifier, Mia Tedesco, in the opening round. Laid down a very stout 6:20 lap. Brandon and Ken Perry. We're duking it out on the other side. Brandon able to get the win with a 0:01 reaction time. Taking out Ken Perry in the opening round. Here they are in the semifinals. Meeting up, one of them's going to go to the final round, Brandon Boer. Unlike the majority of the blown alcohol contingent, does not have the planetary style 3-speed transmission. He has a torque converter in the machine. Gord Jingles' car has done the burnout. Does not seem to want to come backwards. There we go. Just needed a little bit of assistance. You got the blown alcohol car, Brandon Boer left side. Gord Jingles injected nitro machine for the runner out of Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. Over here on the right-hand side. Now Gord Jingles, two things he wants to do on this run. One, he wants to run extremely well. Strong enough to get into the show. Two, he wants to get to the other end before Brandon Boer's hot rod. Because the runner out of Urbana, Illinois, who on the other side, if he can take out Gord Jingles, get there first no matter what the ET is, he's going to the final round of our Indy race. And Brandon's already in the show for this weekend's competition tomorrow here in Norwalk. So Brandon left side, Gord Jingles right side. Semifinals from our competition at Indy. We started 20 days ago. Cliff Bax leans in, gives Gord Jingles the motion to go forward. Brandon Boer left side, rolling it up, lighting the stage beam. Now we're waiting on Gord. Semifinals from Indy. Here we go. A little bit better out of the gate, Gord. Top end, side by side, win light. Gord Jingles, 550, 272 miles an hour. Look at Brandon Boer. He is 700ths quicker down the racetrack, but he was a 10th behind leaving the starting line, and that parlayed into a win for Gord Jingles. And that 550 lap will be enough to put him into the show, at least for now. So Gord Jingles, driving the bull, takes out the #1 qualifier, the reigning division champ in the first round at Indy. Takes out #2 in the division. Here as we get to the semifinals at Summit Racing Equipment Motorsports Park. So Gord Jingles doing what has to be done, doing it when it needs to be done. Lays down the lap, cuts the light. He was 27 on the reaction timers. Brandon Boer just dead late. Out of the gate, there's no other way to put it. And it cost him at the other end of the racetrack. A nice, quicker 5:43 lap than he ran last night in qualifying, but he's not going to the finals for Indy. Gord Jingles is, and trust me, there will be nobody more upset about that run than Brandon himself. Look at that time slip and go, what could have been? So Brandon Boer, Gord Jingles run one side of the semifinals. Here comes our other pair, Marty Thacker and Krista Baldwin. All right, Marty Thacker in the show and in the semifinals from Indy. He's got that blown combination there on the left side. Krista Baldwin, the Golden Greeks granddaughter, over here on the right-hand side. Out of Upland, California. She's been to the final round before. She knows how to get it done. But they struggled last night to a 16-second lap. They got enough in it to upset Marty Thacker and go to the finals against Gord. We're fixing to find out. Here we go. Oh, Marty Thacker carrying the front end out, sets it down 5:36, 266 miles an hour. That was a power wheel stand down there at almost the half-track mark. Krista Baldwin, they do what they need to do. They picked it up considerably. 5:46, 262, but the finals will be Marty Thacker and Gord Jingles taking on each other for the Indy Lucas Oil Drag Racing Series event, Spring Fling of Speed, and it'll be Marty Thacker getting the lane choice with that 5:36 elapsed time. So Marty and Gord into the finals of our alcohol dragster category. Paul Noakes, Scott McVeigh into the finals of our alcohol funny car category. So Thacker, 5:42. Did not, 5:36, improving on his 5:42. 5:46 by Krista. They improved considerably on that 60-second run from last night. But it's Thacker and Gord into the finals for our race at Indy. Never seen them. All I can tell you is get ready. Top Fuel, Harley Davidson, getting ready to blast their way down the racetrack. They leave the starting line. The front tires in the air, and for the majority of the bikes on a 1,320-foot run down the quarter mile, that front tire stays hanging in the air. If you see it come down, it'll be well down track. Those of you that are well down track, you'll see a little wisp of smoke as that front tire settles back down onto the ground. Nitro, Top Fuel, Harley Davidson, getting ready to come at us. How would you like to climb onto a motorcycle to compete with, where one of the rules is you have to wear a bulletproof vest because you're laying right on top of the engine? And if that engine decides to come apart, it could come right up and smack you in the chest. Yeah. That's how wild, that's how radical they are. Top Fuel, Harley Davidson, getting ready to come out at you. Billy Jackson out of Pennsylvania. He is a demolition contractor supervisor. Jackson set him up on a stand. The driver stands to the side when they fire him up. Just like the injected alcohol dragsters, they fire them up with a little squirt of gasoline. Some heat inside the cylinders. And the V-twins come to life. Look at that. I mean to tell you, that's a ride. Jackson on board a brand new motorcycle, hence the single run going down the racetrack. Runner out of Pennsylvania, getting ready to rock it, roll it, and ride it for 1,320 feet. Let me tell you, these things are... 681, 197 miles an hour, and that was just a nice, leisurely, get-to-know-you lap on a brand-new scooter going down the quarter mile. 681, 197 miles an hour, and that was just a get-to-know-you lap. Goodness gracious, what's going to happen when that machine really gets dialed in? Well, as they say, we'll find out. He's got another shot at qualifying a little bit later on. Now that he's made a lap on it, feels a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more confident in it, a little bit more horses into it. See what we can get ready to go do. Freeland coming up on the Summit side of the racetrack, the Harley dealer out of Pennsylvania. Over here on the Budweiser side, all the way from Wakefield, Massachusetts, Frank Capone. Landscape contractor during the week. Wants to make life a little bit more interesting on the weekend. He goes rides his Top Fuel Harley. You can see what I mean about Frank's machine as he left the starting line. That front end up in the air. 771, 174 by Rich. The bike just waggling a little bit on him, and Frank sets the front end back down, eases it on down track to an 834 lap at 116 miles an hour. So Rich goes into 2, Frank goes into the number 3 spot, and Billy Jackson, that checkout lap, 681 at 197. Yeah, he's sitting number 1 for now, because we got more to go. Jake Thunder out of Goshen. Up on the left-hand side, Ricky House coming up from Humboldt, Texas, down Houston way. A couple more of our Top Fuel Harley. A nitro shot for Ricky over here on the right-hand side. I tell you what, you look at the machines, you look at the riders on the See that front end up? See that front end up? See Ricky leaning into it, 642, 216 miles an hour. Carried that front end almost a full 1,320 feet, did Ricky House aboard the Nitro Shark. 718, 155 by Jake over on the Summit side of the racetrack. But Ricky House showing him how to get it done. 642, 216 miles an hour. Straight down the Budweiser side of the racetrack. You can see Ricky leaning into that bike a little bit as it started creeping towards the center stripe. And he started leaning a little bit to get it back towards the center groove. But meanwhile, 642, 216 pops up on the scoreboard. How many of you out there jump on one of these bikes and go for a ride? Show me your hands. That's what I thought. I wouldn't either. Guy down here in front raises both of his hands. You're crazy. All right, Jason Pridemore, Bob Malloy. Getting ready to come at us. Our next pair. Top Fuel Harley Davidson. Jason Pridemore, another Buckeye State runner out of Garrettsville over on the Summit side of the racetrack. Bob Malloy coming to us from Elkton, Maryland. There where all those political people are. The old chassis machine for Bob. The Harley chassis bike for Jason. Pridemore working his way down. Oh, that sounded like he got off 647, 178. 648 down there for Bob Malloy. Another rider over 200 miles an hour. Jason getting a little close to that center stripe. Shut it off before he got to the finish line. Still runs a strong 647 lap. But look at the speed, only 178 miles an hour. Bob Malloy, 648, 100th of a second slower down the racetrack, but almost 30 miles an hour faster at 207 miles per. Jay Turner, Julian, North Carolina. Long time campaigner in the Nitro Top Fuel Harley category. Jay riding his Dixie chassis machine. Tracy Kyle, another North Carolinian, up on the left-hand side. Bikes come to life. They set him down off of the stand. Tracy and Jay climb on board, do their burnouts, roll on up to the beam. Parachutes packed. Up until just a few years ago, but they actually started putting the parachutes on these Top Fuel Harleys. Figured out a way to get them mounted, safe and secure, to be able to slow down the bike without upsetting the rider on board. Let's face it, when your bike starts slowing down and you're just kind of sitting on top of it, evil, wicked, mean, and nasty things can happen. Tracy motors through 639, 223 miles an hour. How about a 629? 228 miles an hour for Jay Turner. Told you, the gentleman here on the Budweiser side. Long time Top Fuel Harley campaigner. Shows everybody how to do it, being number one. 6.293. Better than the number two machine by a tenth. And 228 miles an hour. Missing the track records just a skosh, but yeah, you know, it's just their first shot at the racetrack. Top Fuel Harley, track record, a 624. So Jay's just 0.05 of a second away from that. Top Fuel Harley speed record, 231. So he's just a couple of miles an hour away from that, and both of those numbers held by Tommy Grimes. Couple of riders now that have traveled a very long distance to be here this weekend. Lynn Darnell all the way from Vancouver, Washington, over here on the Budweiser side. How about the guy in the Summit Lane, all the way down from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. And let me tell you, once you cross the North America, or across the United States and Canadian border, it's still a long ways up to Edmonton. I'm serious. The Ace Body Shop. Kevin Bayer, Ridden Machine. Over on the left-hand side, we got a track record in either one of these. 624, 231, the numbers we're looking for. Conditions are good. There goes Lynn. Look at that front end. Hanging high in the air, coming. 644. 221 miles an hour for the Edmonton, Alberta racer. 764, 179 miles an hour. Cruising right on down. So Darnell goes into the number 4 spot. Kevin Bayer goes into the number 9 qualifying spot. Jay Turner still leading that pack. 629.3.